All right, everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and this is Luke, and this is We're the Game. And today we're going to talk about Arizona Cardinals' upcoming game against the rather surging Jacksonville Jaguars. They're coming off a wild, I think, surprising game against the Chargers, where they made them look rather pedestrian. Just total domination, 35-6, and how that'll play into kind of the Cardinals coming off of a really hard, just kind of back-to-back schedule against the division, Seahawks, 49ers, just a tough part of their schedule. A lot of things going on with the team. Kind of as you look at this, upcoming game, what are you looking to see for the Cardinals? What do you think the outcome? Let's jump into this one.
So, outcome, you guess, is as good as mine. I don't know. This one, we play them so rarely that I don't really have a good feel. And this is not the last time, this is not the same team we played. The last time we played the Jags, obviously. Liam Cohen has changed them a good bit and in some somewhat unpredictable ways. Focal points for us, we cannot go back. This last week against the Niners, we managed to, amongst the many terrible things that we did, we managed to protect Jacoby Brissett pretty effectively. He didn't get sacks once, and almost 60 dropbacks allowed him to break that stupid record. So we need to continue that because the San Francisco 49ers have virtually zero pass rush. The Jacksonville Jaguars, oddly enough, have one of the tied for top 10 or something like that pass rush as far as win rates go and things like that. So they have had some success there through the season. And we need to not succumb to that because that has been something we've really struggled with is protection. So again, great job against the Niners, but this is a team that doesn't really do it. So we're back to teams now that can really dominate there if they have a good game. Not quite maybe like Houston last night, but they can be quite effective. So that needs to be kind of order number one. And then working with that, we cannot have another game with 36 rush yards. We had to just completely abandon it again because we ended up down 35-10 or whatever it was. And it was just, it goes by the wayside. And that's supposed to be this team at its best. It's most teams at their best when they can be balanced, to be fair. But we are no different. We need to be balanced. We need to still have some choices to force other teams into not just pinning their ears back. Because, San Francisco doesn't really have a Micah Parsons or a Nick Bosa or whatever. Obviously, they normally have a Nick Bosa, but they don't have that right now. Jacksonville has some guys that will get after you, especially if they know they're going to pass the ball. In fact, that's all they're going to do for the rest of this game is pass the ball. They can really go and wreak some havoc. So the offensive line, as it relates to both pass protection and the run game, needs to step up and be better. We heard today that our right tackle, who really hasn't been playing particularly well this year, Jonah Williams, he's going on IR, probably done for the season, getting shoulder surgery. So it's certainly not much of an upgrade moving from him to Kelvin Beachum, but maybe it will stabilize the position a little bit and help. We'll see. But our right tackle is not the only problem on our offensive line. So that would be kind of order number one. I know it's something of a bland answer to be just hey, the offensive line. But again, you're going back to teams now for most of the rest of our season who have really good pass rush. So we need to settle that, or this is going to be a really ugly final 7 games.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Looking at that, and y'all have had this year, y'all have had some of the worst luck in the running department, just from the health of your running backs of pretty many teams in the NFL. You kind of get Bam Knight going, and now you've kind of got DeMarcado coming up with these big rushes, big runs. And that's been good, in my opinion, because I think it's moved Michael Carter a little further back in the order. One of the things that I guess I'm curious about, because I think I heard DeMarcado's banged up. I don't know if he was planning on even playing. Bam Knight, I think, was I don't know, that potentially banged up. We had been also talking just offline about Trey Benson, and maybe he's getting closer on it. What do you think the running back? Just, okay, great. Maybe the offensive line steps up, creates some big gaps. Who's running through that hole? Who do you see running in this game? What do you expect there?
Most likely, I'm guessing Bam Knight. Amari DeMarcado has been ruled out with high ankle sprain, so we may not even see him for the rest of the season. Sometimes those can linger on past 3 or 4 weeks, especially if you're a guy that runs a whole lot. He's a young guy still, so he might be able to come back and play like the last 3 games or something. But for now, he is going to be out. Bam Knight has probably showed the more consistent kind of burst. Like Michael Carter is probably the other guy that we'll have on the roster right now, and he has his users, to be completely fair. But Bam has some explosive opportunity. Like he'll rip a 20, 30-yarder. And I just don't think Michael Carter has that. So that's probably our 1-2. I imagine they'll elevate someone from the practice squad or bring someone in or something like that to cover as the 3, because you can't go in with just 2 running backs. But yeah, for right now, Bam Knight's probably the guy.
Well, conversely, do you think there's a chance, after having seen Mark Andrews' success this last week, that Trey might get lined up back there to just see if he can pull one of those off himself?
Yeah, I mean, we might use Trey as a running back. We may use him as a quarterback. We may use him as a punter. We did have to bring in a new punter this week as well, so I don't even know his name yet. But I saw the name. It was something I'd never heard of. But anyway, so injuries aboundeth. And so that's fun. But yeah, no, Trey should get a healthy workload here. And there probably will be a little bit of gadget plays. I would think of Greg Dortch more for stuff like end arounds, jet sweeps, and that kind of nonsense. Before I would think of Trey McBride, to be completely sure. But and maybe guys like Andre Pacellia and guys like, well, you know, other guys who normally play like special teams and things like that may get a little bit of get some snaps. So that'll be good for them. But probably not good for the team overall that we're having to resort to that. So hopefully Bam Knight can play. He can get 20 touches, and that can be respectable, something like that. So that would be my preference. There is, I should throw this in there, there is still, I believe, a mild possibility at this point. They'll probably update later today that Trey Benson could come off of IR and be activated for this game. They brought him back, and he is now in his 21-day window where they have to decide in this 21 days if he's going to come back this season or he's just going to be done for the year. There's some optimism that he will come back at some point this year. We just don't know about this game. So if he does, then erase everything I just said. It should be Trey Benson at 1, and then like Bam and Michael Carter right behind him. So so there's some interesting possibilities, I suppose.
Well, speaking of interesting possibilities, after Michael Wilson went off last week against a team that I do think they have a good secondary typically, maybe not great, but good. And now you're going to go up against Jacksonville. Do you envision Michael Wilson making another play to convince everyone in the world that he's a legitimate, dangerous number 1 wide receiver and kind of continue to build the case on that? What should we be looking at or expecting out of Michael Wilson after that rather unexpected and pretty amazing performance last week?
I imagine he'll get a healthy target share. But Jacksonville is second highest in the league in interceptions that they, in takeaways this year. Well, interception takeaways, I should say. Right. And that is that, obviously that makes them dangerous. Combine that with a good pass rush, and getting out of this one unscathed without Jacoby Brissett throwing 1 or more picks is unlikely. Michael Wilson did make some great headway last week, and I hope to see more of that. But we'll see. It could be more of a Trey McBride day this time. We'll see.
Sure.
So
I doubt they're going to sleep on Michael after that last game, which is good. Take some pressure off somebody else. Okay, so let's talk defense. I fall more and more in love with what the front 4 y'all are what you're trying to build there, and what it has been able to do and produce. With Calais, every year I kind of feel like a team doesn't capitalize on his productivity. Kind of makes me feel like it's kind of missed opportunity, because how much longer can old man Campbell play at this level and be this productive? But Josh and Calais together have been really fun to watch. Walter Nolan being added to the mix. He's been a fun young man to watch. What do you kind of and then you've also got a lot of youth in your corner department in the secondary. What do you hope or expect to kind of see from that grouping of guys? Do are they healthy? What are you kind of looking at?
Some of them seem to be getting healthy. We're not sure about Will Johnson yet, and that would be a big boost. If we get Will Johnson, Garrett Williams, and Max Melton, all three playing in the same game, along with most of the defensive line actually being pretty healthy, we could see some possibilities because that team, the Jaguars, they're not, their offensive line is not a juggernaut. And when faced with good pass rush themselves, they have definitely given up some sacks. We talked before the stream about they gave up 7 against both the Rams and the Seahawks. Now, I don't think we have the Rams or the Seahawks pass rush, but when healthy, we do have a pass rush that can get after some quarterbacks. We got after your Cowboys fairly well. So if we can get some of that, that will give us a shot because Trevor Lawrence has not been dominating this year. They're a pretty good team and they should be 7-3, but for that crazy loss to Houston. But still, he really he's not MVP Trevor Lawrence kind of thing that we're seeing right now. He's playing well, just not really dominating. So if we can get some pressure on him, that would be huge. And in our secondary being healthy would be a big step toward that. So hopefully Will Johnson can come back and then we'll just see after that. The bigger worry, though, on the other side of that, they have one of the best run blocking teams in the NFL, and Travis Etienne has been just killing it. It's Travis, not Trevor. Yeah, well, maybe it is Trevor. Yeah. Shoot, Etienne has been it's been pretty darn good this year. So he's liable to be trying to make a name for himself. And the better they can do at the run game, the more they can push their run game, the less pressure there will be on Trevor Lawrence. So that's going to be another, those two things. Can we get healthy in our secondary, and can we not just let Etienne run all over us? Otherwise, it's going to be a really long game. So
yeah, and I think that's a real focal point to watch on what they're trying to prevent from a defensive standpoint. And so just to recap, you were feeling like on the offense that the major point on that was more making sure you have some form of a running game going into this, regardless of who may show up in the running back position, but just not becoming a one-dimensional offense. Which all sounds good. If you had to limit it though down to a particular player or position group that you're like, hey, this is where I think the fulcrum of the momentum of this game for the Cardinals, where do you really see that as like, man, if this group or this person does not show up and perform, we're already under?
Well, I'd have to go back to who I talked about at first. It's the offensive line. I know that's the kind of the crux of every game, but it really is here. Again, now that we're coming off of a game against a team with very little pass rush and heading back into one they're very competent, that is my primary concern. Because it doesn't really matter if Jacoby Brissett's looking good if he's got 0.5 seconds in the pocket before he's dead. He is not a particularly mobile human being. So that's going to be everything. If we give up 6 or 7 sacks and 10 or 11 pressures, this is going to get real ugly real fast. They're probably going to take a lead. And it's going to look something like the games that we just played, where they get a nice lead, force us into pass only downs, and then there's more pressure. So it's it's a quicksand kind of scenario where it could get really bad really fast. So I know that's something of a boring answer, that it's the offensive line and we've got to get some protection up. I guess if you wanted to have like a caveat on that, would be their utilization of Trey McBride might play like a really nice augmentation to that, not just as a blocker, but I mean like little short routes and things like that. If they can get creative there in the ways that they kind of divert pressure off, then that could really help. So keeping him upright has got to be priority one, though.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Like you say, at poor offensive linemen, they're never seen as exciting, but they make a lot of the difference. Yes, so, well, that sounds good. I'm hopeful in this game. I think that this should be a decent football game coming up this weekend, and we'll see what the outcome ends up being. But let's wrap it up there. Thanks everybody for joining. We appreciate it. We're on our way to 200 subscribers, so please jump on board and come see us again. We'll be talking. We'd love to hear from you in the comment section. Jump in and tell us what your thoughts are and participate with us. And outside of that, have a great day, and we will see you next time.